Hi guys, today I'm going to do a book unhaul. Today I'm going to do a book unhaul, which I don't normally do. I definitely haul a lot of books, and up until recently I was fairly of the opinion of like not really wanting to unhaul books and kind of thinking I've already spent the money on them, I'll get around to them one day, what's the point in getting rid of them? But then I watched Sam from Thoughts on Tomes do a discussion on unhauling books, and I don't have a desire to like be minimalist or whatever, but I just haven't unhauled books in a really long time, and it just kind of made me reconsider my shelves. And I looked and I was like, there's some books on here I've had for like 5 years, never wanted to pick up, still don't really want to pick up, so it just feels like time for them to go. Also, I had a few books on my red shelf which I don't want to reread. They were just 3-star reads and they just seem silly for them to take up room, so I have a lot here. Unfortunately I can't like send any of them to anyone because of delivery costs, and they're probably all going to be gone by the time that I upload this video. Amy's going to go through them and see if she wants any. I will probably head over to my friends at Bedworth Book Hut and see if they want any, and then the rest will probably go to charity shop. These are in no particular order because there's so many. I'm just going to grab them and quickly kind of slightly talk about my reasons. I'm not really going to give a synopsis of any of them. A lot of these books I'm mainly getting rid of because they're ones which I bought because they were cheap rather than because I was genuinely excited for them anyway. They were ones where I was wanting to just buy a book, so I kind of found one that sounded okay, and because I never really had that initial hype, I've just never actually gone to pick them up. Or they're ones where I just have kind of outgrown them. The first one is The 10 PM Question by Kate de Goldie. This is one which I'm actually kind of unsure about getting rid of. I might still keep this one, but I've had this book for so many years. I remember buying it with Amy in the Birmingham Waterstones, which doesn't even exist anymore, and we must have been in school. Like, it's at least 4 or 5 years old. I've had this book, if not longer. I've never gone to pick it up. I've never heard anyone talk about it. It's just really, really random. And yeah, I might still keep this one because it's so short and it does still kind of sound interesting, but yeah, this one's gonna go probably. Then I have Wither by Lauren DeStefano, which people talked about on BookTube at one point. I've lost interest. I don't know what it's about. 12 Years a Slave by Solomon Northup. I bought this just because it was cheap and the movie had just come out, but I will just get this from the library if I'm ever interested in reading it. I'll probably just end up watching the film instead. Then I have Fame by Daniel Kelman and The Night Rainbow by Claire King. These were both books I got super cheap from like Tesco or The Works, where no one's ever spoken about them. They're just really random and I've never gone to pick them up. Then I have these 2 graphic novels by a company or publisher or whatever called No Fear Shakespeare. So I have Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet. I was unsure about getting rid of these because I read these when I was first getting into Shakespeare the first few times I went to Stratford upon Avon, and you know, it did help me get into Shakespeare, help me understand the plot of both of these plays, and I did really appreciate them at the time, but now I don't think I'll ever reread them. And you know, the art is okay, but honestly I'm happy to just have the proper plays on my shelves. I don't think I'll ever touch these again, and I'd rather they went to someone who would appreciate them. Tricks of the Mind by Darren Brown. I used to love Darren Brown about 6 years ago when I was in school, and I bought this because I just wanted to read something that he'd written and it seemed interesting, but I just don't think I'll ever get around to this. I don't know if it's about magic tricks or whatever, but I'm probably never going to read it because I haven't in 6 years. Then I have Moriarty by Anthony Horowitz. I tried picking this up I think about a year ago and I couldn't really get into it. I was in a reading slump at the time and I accidentally got spoilt by reading what I thought was a non-spoiler review on Goodreads, so that's kind of just made me not want to pick it up anymore. Also, Robin owns a hardback of this book, so if ever I do want to read it I can just read his copy. Then I have The Air Affair by Jasper Ford and The Reader by Bernard Schlink. Both of these books are these weird like World Book Night editions. I don't remember where I got these. It must have been at my school or college, but I just have never gone to pick them up again. It was basically just because they were free. The Reader does seem interesting, but again, I can always rebuy it or get it from a library or borrow it from someone if I want to read it, because I still haven't in all this time, and I just can't see myself getting around to these. Then I have 13 Chairs by Dave Shelton. This was kind of big on BookTube about 2 or 3 years ago. It's like a few short stories, but I'm not really into like YA sort of creepy stories. I like thrillers and stuff, but just kind of books that are meant to be like scary stories, not really interested in, and I just don't think I'll ever get around to this. Then I have this book, Alice Bliss by Laura Harrington, which again I bought on a whim because it was on a buy one get one half price offer in Waterstones, and I just wanted a second book to make up the offer, and I was drew in by the cover, which I still think is so beautiful. Like, I love the blue and the pink spine and the font. And I've not got rid of this book because it just looks so pretty on my shelves, but that's a silly reason because it's just not about something I'm interested in. It's about a girl whose father is in the army. I don't know if he dies or he's missing or something, but it just doesn't seem like my kind of book. I've never heard anyone talk about it, and it's not worth keeping for the cover. Then I have Sirens by Tom Reynolds. I watched this when it was a TV programme like the cover shows, and I absolutely loved it, so I went and bought the book. Which is basically this guy who I think drives an ambulance, set up a blog, and this is basically his blog entries. And I kind of want to keep this, but again, I know I've had this like so many years because this programme was on so long ago. Look, it had Richard Madden in from Game of Thrones and stuff, so I fell in love with him before it was cool. But yeah, I've never read this in all this time, I think partly because it's so massive and I can probably find the blogs online. And I feel like this could be a good read, but I'm just not interested. If I haven't read it in this many years, I'm not going to suddenly pick it up one day. The next 2 books I got for free from events or from friends, which I'm just not really interested in. The first one is Why Be Happy When You Can Be Normal by Jeanette Winterson. Pretty sure she's like a well-loved author, but I don't really know anything about her, and I just don't know anything about this book. I picked it up, I think, because I'd recognise the title, and again, I can just get it from the library or borrow it from someone if I randomly want to read this in the future, but right now I just don't think I'm going to get to it for years, so it seems silly to keep it. And the next one is We Are Giants by Amber Lee Dodd. My friend sent me loads of proofs from like various books she had because she works at Waterstones, and this is a middle grade book, and I don't really read middle grade. There's like a few exceptions, but overall it's not really a genre that I go to, and I just haven't read this in like the 2 years it's been around. Yeah, I just don't think it's really interesting for me anymore. Then I have The Marriage Plot by Jeffrey Eugenides, and I just bought this because I had The Virgin Suicides by him, which I also still haven't read, but I'm still interested in reading that. But I just have no idea what this is about. It's pre-owned. I don't know why I bought it. I don't want to read it. Another cheap Tesco book is The Man Who Forgot His Wife by John O'Farrell. I'm not sure what this is about. It might be like dementia or something. I'm pretty sure Robin's mum read this and just found it okay. But yeah, I'm quite happy to kind of let go of this because again, I've had it so many years and I just don't think I'm going to get around to it. And the last of the TBR books I have to show are The Killing Lessons by Saul Black. This is another Tesco cheap read, and I just don't know anything what it's about. I don't know why I bought it. On the back, the blurb is literally just stalk, kidnap, kill, repeat. 2 killers go on a murder spree. Seems like very generic kind of murder mystery thriller type thing, and I have a lot more thriller books on my shelves that I'm actually really excited for and will get to a lot sooner, so I don't really see the point in keeping this. I might hold on to it for like another month just to kind of see, because I am unsure about this one compared to a lot of the others, but it's probably not going to make the cut. Then the last thing I want to get rid of is the Inkspell trilogy by Cornelia Funk. This is all 3 books, and I think I got this from the Works for like £10, and I bought it just because I was like, wow, a box set of a book series I've heard of that people like. But again, I think this is middle grade, which I don't really read, and I just don't have any interest in reading them. Like, I can't see myself picking them up, and I know nothing about it. And I just don't know why I have this, really. I should have never bought it in the first place, and I would rather it went to someone who would really appreciate it. The last couple of books I want to get rid of are books that I have actually read. The first one is probably the most controversial book in this entire book haul, book Unhaul, and that is The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. I read this about a year ago, 2 years ago, but I just didn't really like it. I found the writing quite bad, I didn't like the romance. It was intriguing, but I think I just googled what happened in the next 2 books because I was like, that was bad, I'm not going to read the rest of the series. There's no point me holding on to this when I don't have any interest. The next one I might consider keeping, I'm still on the fence about it, and that is The Auschwitz Violin by Maria Angela Zanglada. I honestly don't know why I own this book. I don't know why I read it in the first place. I don't know if it was recommended on BookTube or in person, if I just saw it in the shop and thought it looked pretty, but I did read this and I remember quite enjoying it, but I really don't remember anything about it, and I don't know, part of me kind of wants to reread it, and it is so small it's hardly taking up the shelf space, but also I have like no emotional attachment to this book at all, so we'll see. Then I have Solace of the Road by Siobhan Dowd. I remember her books were quite big on like the Waterstones YA table when I was younger. I recognise the covers for the ones on the back. I think now she's most famous for being the kind of inspiration for Monster Calls. Like, she had the story idea and everything, but then she sadly passed away and Patrick Ness wrote it. I can kind of remember this book. It was about a girl who like runs away and takes on a new identity. Like, she wears a wig and she has lots of freedom in kind of doing that, but yeah, I just have no emotional attachment to it. I think I enjoyed it at the time, but I don't feel the need to keep a copy. And then the last book in this unhaul, I've actually seen people recently hauling because of all the buzz around 13 Reasons Why, but that is The Future of Us by Jay Asher and Caroline Macker. I read this about 3 or 4 years ago. I don't think I was on BookTube at the time, and it was okay. It felt dated at the time, like, let alone now. It was about these two people who I think on their like AOL CD can look into their future at their Facebook page, which, you know, was kind of interesting concept, and it was almost had this Back to the Future element of like, if they tried to change things then things would change in their future. But it was okay, but I'm not going to reread it. I just have no emotional attachment to it, so I'm going to get rid of it. Okay, I'm not even going to try and pick up those amount of books because I could barely hold half of them for the thumbnail anyway, let alone pick them all up now. Honestly, most of these books, I've had them kind of separated in a pile and off my shelves for about a month now until I could film this video, and I don't miss them on the shelves, you know, I don't notice that they're gone, and going through them now I'm especially sure that I want to get rid of them. So this has been very nice feeling. There's maybe about 10 more books on my TBR shelf that I might get rid of, but for the minute I want to keep them because I'm still quite interested. So I'd say probably like in a year's time, but I still haven't got around to them, they will probably get unhauled too. Let me know down below if you've had some sort of like 2018 unhaul of your shelves to help like clear it up and prioritise it to things you actually really loved and want to keep or are really excited for reading. And I will see you on the next video. Bye!